Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, it's a nice day out. Sunday. Of course, Sundays I got limited time only to do all my work that I want to do in Hollywood and all of that, but I'm out on time. It's not even noon yet, so I should be able to take care of everything I want to do and get back here before Bible study at 4:30 with the family. But I feel pretty good, honestly do. Physically well rested, mentally solid, I guess, for the most part. No complaints about anything, really. It's a strange dream last night, I can tell you that much. As I always often have dreams, and I don't really know what the purpose is other than to give y'all content on the channel. I don't think it holds much purpose, to be honest with you. But the dream that I had last night, the first half of it had my father involved in it. And it's funny because I was kind of asking the Lord to kind of send my angels into a direction where, kind of just protect me and watch over me. I was just asking that yesterday during the daytime, really for no real reason other than just don't know what's ahead, never know what's ahead. And with everything that's been for the last 6 months, I just figured, hey man, let me just put a couple minutes out there to pray about protection over myself and others that I care about and all of that. And then my father showed up in my dream that night. And so I felt in the dream that I was asking him, how does he conserve his energy when he has to get up at 4 a.m. for long periods of time? How do you sustain that is basically what I was asking. When you have to get up at 4 a.m. and you got to schedule that out for like the next 8 to 2 years or whatever. How do you do that? But the way that it was I was asking him that in such a way that just allowed it to be a little too wordy. And by the time I was done asking, he had disappeared from the dream. So it was like I was waiting for him to answer, and it was almost like he was trying to answer me, but I kept talking. It was that kind of thing, trying to finish the question. But I don't remember what he said. I just remember he disappeared when I was done talking. But it was good to see Pops in the dream. And then it became like some type of it felt like I was in the future or something like that. And it was this tank. I call it like a big, huge water tank that I was in, playing some type of water sport. Some cross between water polo and like kickball or something. It was weird. But the thing about it was like we were super in the future. The water was super cold, like inhabitable cold, but for whatever reason our bodies could sustain that cold. But the tank, it had to be taller than this building above me, twice as tall actually. You could go all the way to the bottom, so you could like literally your body, I guess, could sustain swimming in deeper waters than what we normally would be able to. And so that's one of those things. And I found myself in there doing the sport, and it was this random girl that I know on Facebook who happened to be one of the characters in the dream. And I think her husband or her boyfriend was also a part of the sport. And she's key because it was one of those situations where we had a time limit on how long we could be there before it was no longer safe for us to do so. It's like eventually, if you don't get out of this water, it's going to freeze you over. You could sport for a while, but whatever that keeps you safe, it expires. So we need to get the hell up out of here at the time they tell us to move. And it was one of those situations where, but we hadn't received what it is we were supposed to receive in regards to winning the sport. So it's like, on one hand, you want to hurry up and get out of there. On the other hand, you want to accomplish your goal. And the goal was to get some type of like, I'd say boots. They look like synthetic legs, but they were boots. They weren't going to replace your actual legs, but what they did was make you twice as fast, twice as strong. But you had to win, but not only one game of whatever this sport was, but several games. And we had run out of time. And so for me, it was like, all right, it's time to get up out of here. It's no longer safe. But the girl, she wanted to keep sporting. Like, look, you ain't gonna be able to survive it anyway. You're not gonna win the shoes. And we had gotten so close. It was one of those situations where she was on my team, and it got to a point where we were able to see the synthetic boots, whatever they were, the magnetic super boots or whatever. I was able to actually see them in the little casing where they were at. down in the furthest left-hand side of the tank in the bottom. It was like, yo, I got to them. I seen what they look like. They're worth having. But maybe we could come back another day. You know what I mean? It's not like we can't come back tomorrow. We just can't stay but for so many hours, or it's no longer safe. But she was determined to keep playing. And then it got to a point where something had went wrong in the tank. And so now we had two different types of threats. You could also, the tank was going to explode or something like that if she didn't hurry and get the hell out of there. So once she started realizing there was something extra wrong, it wasn't just her running out of time, but also this thing became no longer safe to be in. It was too late. And we, it was one of them situations where I was able to escape from the top of the hatch of the tank. But as soon as I escaped, I ended up inside of her perspective. You see what I'm saying? It's like as soon as I got out, it doubled me back to where she was, and she was further down the tank trying to swim upwards, trying to get to the top of the hatch to get the hell up out of there. And she ran out of time. She didn't make it. And that's when I woke up. The hatch closed. She was trying to reach it. From within my perspective, I became her, saying, help, 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 get me up out of here. And more or less, the thing, whatever happened, I woke up. But I imagine it exploded, or she couldn't get out, or something of that nature. So that was the exact dream. I don't know. I can tell you this. I did see something on IG that had a dude swimming to a bottom of a tank that was far deeper than anything I'd ever seen. It had to be at least 40, 50 feet. And they just showed he was a super diver, and I guess he could sustain it somehow through his training or whatever. Maybe it was a Navy SEAL type training. But I guess that's where I got that from. But that was the dream, man. It was rather real. I don't know why all that elaborate crap was in my dream. I never know why my brain comes up with stuff like that, but that's exactly what the dream was, man. So I woke up out of that rather shook, I guess you can say. Rather shook, because it put me in her perspective, and it was like I ran out of time, that kind of thing. So I don't know, man. I just figured I'd share that with you. I don't know what weight that holds. I don't know what that means other than don't get greedy. If you need to move on. If it's something that's telling you something ain't safe, don't go greedy. That's what I took from it. Don't get greedy. That's not something I would have needed any help with, though, because in the dream I was already heeding that wisdom and got the hell out of there. You know what I mean? It was like I had it. The problem was she wasn't quite wise enough to not try to continue to be in a space that wasn't safe, and as a result she didn't make it. So it's like, the wisdom wasn't mine. I don't think. It was more so for me to share with somebody else, just in case you had that problem, or for some reason in a different walk of life, I come around some type of scenario where I need to not be greedy and understand the difference between what it is that I should be doing versus the risk of what it is that I cannot allow to be happening. So it's it's one of those situations where you just look at that and say, okay, all right, God, thank you for the dream, thank you for the lesson, and thank you for allowing me to receive it the way that I did. So share it with you guys. But yeah, that was how that went. I woke up this morning feeling good. Actually, how did it go? Last night I woke up like around 12:30 midnight after resting pretty early. I think the dream came out of that, to be honest with you. I think that was what I woke up out of. And of course we had the hour change, so I literally saw the clock go from 1:59 to 3 o'clock. We never got 2 a.m. this past night with the spring forward hour change. And so, yeah, that's something I've seen before, but not too many times in this life. And the funny thing was, I'd forgotten it was hour change. But prior to seeing the hour change, it was like 3 minutes before that, someone had said, wasn't it just 1:59, then it went to 1:55? I'm like, that don't sound right. But then I realized the hour change was to occur, and then it proceeded to do what it is that I know it does, which is skip forward. So I don't know what she saw, but yeah, that's how that went for me. So yeah, man, now it's kind of desolate on a Sunday because of it. One would think it's like 11 o'clock right now, and it's actually probably noon. But it's going pretty well for me so far. I decided instead of going to the local Target to get everything I want to get. I just make a whole day out of it and do my little walk thing. Since I'm out early enough to do so and probably get back in time, I'll just skip my 100s that I've been really good about doing. I did them yesterday, the laundry and all that stuff too. So, you know, it's one of those things where I haven't been to Hollywood in a couple days and I didn't plan on going today, but, you know, just following my nose. I need this exercise. So I figured I'd just do this and see what happens. Maybe even stop at my little Chick-fil-A and grab myself something, try something from there. You know, do something like that on the day and try to get back here in time for my Bible study. So that's pretty much it, man. I didn't really have much else to share with you guys. I think it's really strange how aid is being used as weapons in Gaza. That's been really unique. They find, like I said, you know, Israel and the Zionists are finding new ways of torturing and killing these people, very creative ways. They're coming up with new ones. You know, it's just like an art form for these people to come up with torture. So now, the aid that's supposed to be coming from our country, remember I told you it was rotten and everything? From what I've been seeing with pretty much the footage that's been shown, the parachutes have been malfunctioning on the aid. And they've been dropping the aid on people's houses, crushing them, dropping them on human beings, crushing them. And it's supposed to be an accident. It's American aid. It's supposed to be coming from American people. But what I understand about America is that America is deferring to Israel on everything they're doing in Gaza. Meaning that the people who are killing these individuals and starving them out are the people we're relaying our aid to see to it that it gets to Gaza. So of course this is what's going to happen. They're going to use the aid, probably take the food out of it, put something in it that ain't supposed to be there, put lead in it or something like that, and then drop it without parachutes on top of people's head. You want aid here, drop it on you. So that's the latest. That's the latest. Some of the aid that you think is going over there, it's actually being used as projectile weapons to drop on their heads and crush them. Yeah, that's what I had not been able to say. I saw that a couple days ago, and I forgot to mention it, but that is not to be forgotten. Aid as a weapon. Just one more creative way Zionists have found a way to torture Palestinian people. I keep telling y'all, it's not about anything other than eradicating their people who they believe is Amalek's descendants. That's all this is about, friend. It's not about anything else. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what they're mentioning. I'm not moved by the political space as it pertains to now the election time's coming around. They want to address it after 3 months of it. None of that is real. What's real is the holy war that Zionists and Israel is on to avenge who they believe was harmed by these people's ancestors. That's what that is. That's all it is. And they're going to crush them. They're going to wipe them off the earth. And they're going to torture them. And they're going to enjoy that torture because that's what they have believe the book tells them their duty is. And as a result of us being their allies and the Western world being their allies, we're going along with that, supporting them on their holy war mission to destroy Amalek's children. So that's what's happening. If y'all really want to know what I've learned, what I've come to learn, anything else around that, any type of jargon around that ceasefire, just remember, they're trying to kill this person's entire generation. That's what they're doing. They're wiping him out, they're taking the land, and they're going to build some Florida-like, LA-like type thing there over the next 100 years. That's all it's about. And then they're going to siphon from that gas and all this other stuff and do all these other types of trillionaire plans over the next 100 years. It's supposed to take place in the Middle East. And they're going to try to turn the Middle East into New America, man. That's it. So, you know, for anybody who's caught up in anything in regards to this conversation, you just remember what I just said there. That's literally that's the end game. Wipe out the seed of Amalek, torture them in the most creative ways possible to make themselves feel better, and then proceed to take the land and build some type of resort there, like some type of elaborate super resort. So yeah, man, that's definitely something worth saying. And you know, I mean, to be honest with you, man, it's up to us to stop them. At the end of the day, they need the working world to pay into their bullcrap, man. The Western world, we're caught up in our rock the vote propaganda, up with the donkey, down with the elephant, down with the donkey, up with the elephant, separation, politics games that we got going on. It's just propaganda, man. A lot of us really believe in that stuff, and I'm telling you, it ain't there for no other reason than to keep us from feeling for people that they tell us are our enemies. That's it, bro. It ain't about nothing else. You could say you have a chance at a say-so in regards to what's happening, but when you really look around, I mean, it's a couple whales own everything. They own everything. So if they don't want something to happen, whether you voted for it or didn't vote for it, if you can't sway the money in regards to the funding, then they're just going to control what it is based on that leverage. So for all the different things that you think you control with your vote, you got to look at what's moving things. What moves things is the money, and those who have the gigantic amounts of money from which to move those things. Everything else is just them waving shiny objects in front of you for your compliance to keep on paying into them with taxes and hard work. As long as you feel like you have some say-so in what they do, you're never going to defect from what it is they need you to do. That's literally all it is. All that other stuff is just meant to make you confused, guilty, stupid, and heartless enough to love money over your true responsibility to not be a terrorist. And they don't want you to not be a terrorist because they're terrorists. So as long as you don't know what you're doing is terrorizing people, they're going to put the propaganda on your head, have you rocking the vote, doing all different types of stuff, and at the end of the day, they're going to take the money you give them and you pay into, and they're going to do all the evil stuff that I've been describing here and more. It's literally it. And if you look at Israel and the propaganda upon those people, they think it's right to starve children because their own kids, they have more of a right. Like, that's not real. You don't bring forth any protection over your children by starving others. You're not your ideal to place the lives of your children above someone else's children is not righteousness. You're supposed to be protecting all these kids, especially if you believe in a God that you say you serve. So the sheer notion of the propaganda that people buy into when they buy what it is that their government is giving them is what you're seeing in Israel when you see people blocking aid, trucks, and all different types of stuff. And the first thing they have to say is, Hamas, give us back our hostages, and all different types of propaganda. It's no different than us rocking the vote. It's just propaganda. It's a different subject, but it's the same mind control. You give the people some bull crap to get them to do what it is you want them to do, and you give it to them at a pulsing rate to where they can't sway away from it without being outcasted by the people around them. For us, every 4 years, we got to rock the vote. Every 4 years, you got to pick between the elephant and the donkey. And we really buy that bullshit. We really buy it. And as a result, we're going to pick a side, and then we're going to go with the side that we want to go with, and it's down with the people on the other side. And it just becomes a situation where you don't even realize that they done shoved you into a corner, separate you to keep you from seeing what it is they're doing. But when it's time for you to speak up against stuff that they do, when you get a peek of what it is that's really going on behind the curtain, you try to speak up. Now it's dystopia time. Now it's all of a sudden we don't know what you're talking about. We can't hear you. You're trolling. You're crazy. You're irresponsible. You're disruptive. And all different other stuff. So they can keep the guys going with the zombies that refuse to listen to you because they're too indoctrinated in the propaganda. Indoctrinated in the propaganda in such a way that they get their lives up before you ask a critical thought about a question about what it is they're doing. They give their lives up before they ask a critical thought question. You got all this money, but you're afraid of poor people? Israel? Why can't none of you zombies ask the critical thinking questions about how is it that you're able to starve your enemies? How is that even possible if not you having power over them? So how could they be your enemies? You got all the power over them. You control their children, you control their food, you control everything else. So how are they your biggest threat? When you have the ability to keep them from eating anything, ever. They can't harm you, but you're not going to ask that question because you don't want to be outcasted or because you've been taught how not to ask those questions. Or you think it's irresponsible or rude to ask those questions. And in the space of that rudeness, they're able to nestle comfortably and have you move in exactly the way they want you to move. So that's what I'm saying to all of y'all. A lot of this stuff is flat out in our faces, but because we're indoctrinated in our very own rudeness that for which we will never cross over, we don't ask the critical thinking questions necessary to make sense of the propaganda that's placed upon our head that doesn't add up. We're too busy trying to pick a side between the donkeys and the elephants, and we don't realize that we already know that the donkeys and the elephants don't control anything because we already understand that our politics are run by money. Whoever has the money buys the politicians. So if that's the case, then why do you think you have any power in anything the politicians do, if not for your ability to buy them? Like, this is flat out in our faces, but we don't pay no attention to it because we're too busy believing the propaganda because it's safe for us to do so, because our grandparents believed the propaganda, because my mom was a Democrat, so I'm raised to be a Democrat. Down with the elephants, up with the donkeys. It's all bull, man. Keep your eye on the ball. What moves everything? The money. Who has the money? The Zionists. What are the Zionists doing? On a mission to destroy the children of Amalek and build upon the land that isn't theirs. That is it. That's it. That's all. And everything else is just meant to make you go along with that. Chasing money, you're not going to hold them accountable. Why? Because you're going to be too afraid not to lose it. Ain't that what Mike Epps said? He's in a space where he wants to sell out. Why? Because being 50-something years old and not being in their back pocket, being the realest person you can be, don't pay nothing. And he needs to get paid. No, that's where they need you to be, right there in that space where you need to be paid, so that you never, ever hold them accountable. The leverage they have over you is your need to get more. When you take your amount and leave it alone, then they don't have the leverage over you, because they have to take advantage of your greed. Your greed. Your greed and your fear of poverty are the things they can control you with. If you're not afraid of either one of those, they don't have no leverage over you. It's telling the truth, man. It's the truth that they've been trying to hide from us for 500 plus years, bro. It's the same thing that allowed them to move in the direction that allowed for slavery and apartheid and all different other types of stuff. Same old propaganda. They have your mind, and they allow you to believe that you have some power when you really don't have a whole lot at all. If you ain't got a couple $1 trillion to sway them in one direction or another, then your vote doesn't matter. You can believe that it does, that's fine, but you already know politicians are bought. So what power do you have? When you tell these people stop killing people and stop doing all this, that, and the third over in Israel, stop this Israeli nonsense, they're killing all these kids, do they listen to you? No, they ain't listening to you. And the people with the power, the people with the sway, the ones that you're influenced by, all these celebrities, are they saying anything about it? No, they ain't saying nothing, because they're afraid to lose everything. They're afraid to lose everything. And because they need, within that need, they're able to stand and say, I can give you what you need, so long as you don't hold me accountable for the evil I want to do. And as a result, I get to keep doing it. So that's what it is, man. If we ain't waking up to this after all of what we're seeing here, then there's no hope for anybody. Us, any of them. BDF 44, thank y'all for watching. Bye.